Body. Bruchim Abayim. Welcome everyone. Shalom Ubracha. Tonight is Chai Elul, which is the yard site of my holy ancestor, Maharal in Prague. I zitter sich when I think about such a holy Zayda like the Maharal. I remember I was once there in Prague by his kever, and I felt incredible energy by all kinds of kvarim. We talked about Reb Pinchas Koritzer. By the Heilige Zayda of the Maharal in Prague, I felt mamish like it was another world. It's not even like you walk into an oil. It's an old cemetery, and the cemetery is a cemetery, right? But mamish, I was standing in front of the Maharal's kever, and I mamish felt like it was another world. I can't describe it. I remembered, and my wife, she was with me. She experienced the same thing. Mamish, another world. And then to be in his shul, daven there in Altnoi shul, where the Zayda was. There's nothing to talk about. It's so different. It's something otherworldly. And again, you go there when it's open for the tourists. All right, it's interesting. You daven there, the energy is totally different. So we know that the Vizai Heist there, the Moranayim, the Chernobyler, he writes that the Indian of making a pilgrimage to Kibbutz Tzadikim, it's the same Indian when you learn their Sfarim. And like we said from Satmarov, that it's on a higher level, because if you just make a pilgrimage without learning any Torah from the Tzaddik, without having some kesher to the Tzaddik, Satmarov said it's like as Magaitza Glatterstein. It's like you're going just to a smooth stone. But you go to, but you learn the Torah of the Tzaddik, it's a much higher level than actually making the physical pilgrimage. So even if I don't feel that same feeling that I had in Prague, I believe the words of the tzaddikim, and so therefore, even if it's a matter of blind faith and not necessarily a matter of logic, although obviously it's much more logical what we're saying to learn the Torahs from the tzaddik than to go make a physical pilgrimage. The physical pilgrimage maybe meets some emotional needs that people have. There's tremendous emotional needs that we fulfill, and psychological needs that we fulfill by making a pilgrimage. But when we learn the Torah, it's so much higher. And in this Torah, which is in the drushes of the Maharal al Torah, the Heilige Zayda, the Heilige Rebbe, the Maharal in Prague, he explains what Torah learning is really all about. So he brings a medrash for Amr Shakulam Nasu Ahavam Moshe. This, I believe, this drasha comes from Parshas Yisrael, where the medrash says that when Moshe Rabbeinu was all of the when Moses went up to heaven, he went up Mount Sinai and was transfigured and ascended into heaven, the angels were very jealous and zealous, and they tried to physically harm Moshe Rabbeinu, because they said that it's a human being who is born of a woman has no business up there in heaven, and so they sought to harm him. And there's a whole story about how Moshe Rabbeinu defended himself and defended the Klal Yisrael and explained why the Torah belongs on earth as opposed to in heaven, mostly because the heavenly entourage, the angels, are already on a high spiritual level. Whatever explanations we want to give about that, now is not the time to explain. But whatever they are, they've already accomplished what they have to accomplish, or they were created how they were created. Whichever interpretation and tradition you want to follow about how we interpret that. But in any event, Moshe Rabbeinu told them that they don't have the problems that we human beings have, and that's why we human beings need the Torah to teach us not to murder, not to steal, not to do all these sins, because angels don't have to worry about those things, and we do. And so that's why we need the Torah to fix our society and to make our species evolve to the next level of existence. So once he won that debate, once he defended his treatise and his thesis successfully, and essentially gained the doctorate of the angels, he became the true doctor of divinity. It says, "V'amar shekulam na'asu ayhavam l'Moshe." Medrash tells us that all the angels became friends. They loved Moses. And says the Heilige Gezeide, the Maharal Makrag, Schusig Leno, the Bala Lula, Ki b'mash b'koymai tachas akisei kasher yispoyer. Says we're going to explain later that Moses' place became under the throne of glory. And he said we'll explain that later, but let's go and explain this. How did the angels become friends of Moses? They were jealous of him, they were zealous against him, they tried to prevent him from what he was trying to do there, and here everything was turned around. How did it happen? What's the significance of this? So the Heilige Gezeide says, Hinech malachim hasoivavim kisei kvoda yispurach, that the angels who surround God's blessed throne of glory, they surround God's throne, so to speak, in the same manner in which servants surround their master's throne. The servants of a king would surround the king's throne. And so since Moses grabbed onto the throne of glory, so then they all became friends all together. They're all friends all together, and also they all became friends with Moses because of his approach to this as well. Ki tamed yischaber kol soivev l'mtziasai, because constantly they're all attached in friendship. All of those who are surrounding that which they surround in the middle, and so too that which is in the middle is connected in friendship to all that which surrounds it. So that's the meaning where it says that each one gave over something, a word. Because anyone who was united together and connected to one another, and they made a strong decision to do so, they accept and receive from one another because of this friendship and this fellowship that they have among each other. So that means all of the angels made fellowship with Moses. That means even Malacham Movis Hagam Kihu Misnaged Ela Adam Hay Mischaber Elav V'china Zois V'hoya Moiser Loi Daber. Even the angel of death, and if we look at the Gemara, famous Gemara in Baba Basra, Hahu, right? The angel of death, the Yetzer Hara is the Satan, is the angel of death. The little devil on your shoulder that entices you to sin is the Satan, is the prosecuting attorney, and is the angel of death. He's also the executioner. He's the judge, jury, and executioner. And so even though the angel of death is the enemy, is the opponent of humanity, he became friends with Moses. Why? On this level, like we said, because all of the angels had to become friends with Moses, had fellowship with Moses. And he also gave him something. Because the fact is, this opposition that the angel of death, that the Satan, that the devil has against human beings is only here on earth. Why? Because human beings have bodies. And because the human being is mortal and is prone to die, for this reason, the angel of death is the opponent of the human being. However, when a human being is in a supernal, special place that's appointed and assigned for him in heaven, where there is no death, there is no ingathering. Well, then this angel, who to us on earth seems to be the bad guy, he's the devil, he's the Satan, he's the angel of death, that angel, who's our enemy, who's our opponent here on earth, well, he's our friend in heaven. We have fellowship with him because he's just one of the angels. He's not a force that's in opposition to God. He is a humble servant of God. He is our enemy because we live on this earth. And so when he is in heaven, and when we are in heaven, and we see that in the book of Job, we see that in the Bible, that the Satan is subservient to God. He's a humble servant of the Almighty Creator. It's not like the Western world tells us, that the idea that they took from the Zoroastrians, that it's God versus the devil. No, it's just the opposite. The Satan is a servant of God, sent for a purpose, and that is to make our life on earth difficult. So this way, when we overcome it, we accomplish something great. But we have to understand something deeper about this. So we're speaking specifically about his role as the angel of death at this point. So this angel has a fellowship with Moses, just like all of the other angels that surround the divine throne. And this is what our sages taught us, that all the time that a person is toiling in the study of Torah, the angel of death has no control over him. Meaning that a person, while he is in the actual act of Torah study, he is essentially immortal. And he only gains immortality when he ceases to study Torah. For example, the Medrash tells us, the Gemara tells us, that the Talmud tells us that David asked the prophet Nathan which day would he die, and he said he could not tell him that, but he'll tell him which day of the week he'll die, and that he would die on the Sabbath. And so David HaMelech made the decision that all Shabbos long he would have so much hasmada, he would learn with such diligence that the Malach HaMavis would not, the angel of death would not be able to take him. And it's the Gemara in Shabbos Daf Lamed. And also many other tzaddikim, many other saints, it tells us in our traditions that because of their diligence in Torah study, the Malach HaMavis had no way to conquer them, and he would have to make some manner in which he would distract a person from his diligence in Torah study in order for the person to be mortal. So, but, alright, so we know that this is what our sages say, but what is the ideology behind this? What is the meaning behind this? So, the Heilige Zayin Maharal in Prague, he explains, because the fact of the matter is, the opposition that the Satan has against us is because of our bodies. Again, I mean, I'm a prison chaplain, and I often will explain to people who want to understand what the Jewish view of Satan is. It's not that he's this powerful being that is in opposition to God, but rather he is our enemy because he's a prosecuting attorney in heaven. And it's very easy to explain. It's very easy for someone who's serving a prison sentence to understand that the prosecuting attorney is the devil. But the truth of the matter is, the prosecuting attorney is only an enemy of a criminal. But if you're a law-abiding citizen, he's really a friend, because he's really doing a service, right? He's really serving the community. So the same thing here, the Satan is only an opponent to the human being because of our body. But the Satan is not the enemy of our piety, of our intelligence, of our Torah, of our devotion to God's word through our intellectual connection to God's word. So it says that in the reward, because he was called a human being, everyone got something from him. Every angel gave something to Moses. Because they were pointing out his lowliness, that he is a mere human, he's a mortal. However, so the angels thought that this human being, he's so lowly, he's so despised. But God explained to the angels that you might think this human being is so lowly, you might despise him so much, but the truth is, the human being was created in the image of God. So therefore, the holiness and the greatness of the human being is very high. Kasher Yerush my Adam. You're going to insult somebody by calling them Adam, by calling them a human being, Adam? No, just opposite. It's a very high level. And that's why Moses was unified under the throne of glory. He had a special place set aside for him. Because the angels only surround the throne of glory, whereas Moses, his image was placed upon the throne of glory. He was placed under the throne of glory. So therefore, since he is under the throne of glory, they are all unified and connected and in fellowship to the central point that is among them, in their midst and in between them. And that is the proper explanation of what it says in Pirkei Avos. We're going to read this week. It's in Perek Gimel. Chavav Adam shenever b'tzelem Elokim. That human beings are beloved because they're created in the image of God. That it says about him and about the image that's on the throne of God, that this is an image that's like a human being, which is the same image that's above, under the throne of glory. That's a special place that's set aside for him to be close to God until all of the angels above surround him just like they surround the throne of glory itself. And so then we see that there are angels all around the human being, to the right, to the left, and he's in between them because of this. And they all seek fellowship with him totally. They want to be totally connected to him. Therefore, they all want to give something to him. And all the answers that Moses gave was for this reason. That why should the Torah be given to human beings on the earth? Because a person needs to be rectified. A person needs to find perfection. But the angels don't need that. So therefore, you're going to ask, isn't it enough that this perfection was given over, that it was given to him to reveal these simple things in the Torah in the simplest way, with the Ten Commandments and so forth? But the hidden things, that's what the angels really meant when they said to give your glory to heaven. Why should the secrets of the Torah be given to the human being? Well, that would be some kind of a lacking to that incredible addition that he has, that the angels don't have. And there's also no question of that. Why should the Kabbalah, why should the secrets of the Torah be given over? Because when a person is created with something lacking, his soul will never be satisfied. He's always going to seek out more and more perfection. This is the whole concept of the human being, that a human being has so many deficiencies. A human being lacks so much, and so therefore he will never reach perfection. Therefore, he will always be seeking perfection and seeking to grow more and more. And so therefore, that's why the Torah was given to the human being, simply because it's an endless pursuit that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about walking this path of the Torah. The destination is not the issue. It's the journey, it's the path, it's the road that we walk. And in this way, we can reach a level of perfection that the angels have no chance to reach, because the angels are already perfect. The angels already have everything. They cannot grow, they cannot improve themselves. Whereas the human being, because of all of our deficiencies, we can always grow. And that's the tachlis. That's the purpose of our life. And so that, in that manner, that's why there's a fellowship that we have with all the angels, even the angels that would seem to be in opposition to us, because those angels are really not our enemies, but they're like a drill sergeant. Like you think about, a guy who gets in the army and has a drill sergeant is yelling at him and belittling him. And that's for the purpose of that soldier to become better, to grow, to become more perfect. And so too, that is the experience that we have with the angels. The angels get upset at us, the angels yell at us, and they belittle us, and they say you're a mere mortal, and we're so much better than you, and you're a maggot, you're a worm. Sof kol sof. We can grow, and they can't. We can improve. They're stuck. And so they're jealous of us. And so, but we give them an answer, and so therefore they only surround God's throne. But a human being has the capability of being God's throne. And so that's the message that we have on this Chai Elul, the Chiyus of Elul, the day of the Yartzeit of the Maharal Prague, which is also the day of the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. That teaches us how a person can be misakin himself, he can fix himself, he can grow, and become better and better. All right. And so, as we get closer to Yom Kippur, Shon Yom Kippur, we should all be zeicher to all of the gewaldige messages here that we learned from my holy Zayda Maharal, and Taka, take that into consideration. That this is the way that we can grow, because we can always grow. There's no end to the growth of Torah. Shivchi kamayim libech, like we say all the time from the Ishbitzer, that just like the water doesn't give up. That's pshat of how a Yid is supposed to accomplish himself to serve God, is by constantly growing, and he never, ever stops. That's pshat. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. In the schus of the holy Zayda Maharal Prague, we should all be zeicher to everything that we need, and to grow and turn your Shemayim, and that we can all become like Moshe Rabbeinu, even if we're not in the level of Nevuah, but the level of Tzidkus, and the level of Anava. That's something we could be zeicher to, if we only work hard on it, and we recognize the possibilities that we have in growth through Torah, that Torah puts us into a place that's totally different than anything else in the world. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you later.